life practice community.
Just came in. All right, so we are having our Vin Yin practice today, and this is one of my favorite classes because it kind of brings a balance of the yin and the yang, the more active and the passive. First portion of our class will kind of get moving and maybe sweat a little bit, and second half will be more restful and restorative. So we're starting a practice in a seated position, crisscross, or however else is comfortable for you. Just invite a length along your spine, so vertebrae stacking on vertebrae. And then rest one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. And then just check in with how your head and your heart are doing. What is going on with you today? How does what's happening for you affect how your body and your brain are feeling? I feel a little bit all stirred up. If that's you as well, then maybe join me in taking some deep breaths and just imagining almost like you've shooken up a snow globe. And then you've sat that snow globe back on the table. And you're just watching those flakes of snow to drop down towards the base of the globe. And as the snowflakes begin to settle, the water begins to clear. And then as you're sitting and breathing, maybe having a moment of reflection. Then maybe deciding what you want to take from today's practice. Maybe you're here to move. Maybe you're here to cultivate some presence. Maybe you're here to stretch or to sweat or to strengthen. There isn't really a right or wrong reason. Just try to have some clarity around your reasons and your intentions. And then take one more round of breath. And then we'll land the palms and uncross the legs. We're gonna come all the way up to stand today. We're gonna start our practice standing, which I don't do very often. So come to a Tadasana at the front of the mat with your soles of feet rooted and your palms just alongside your hips. Then we're just gonna take some rhythmic movement here. So on your breath in, circle your arms up towards the sky. And then on your exhale, can you pass your palms through your heart center and then interlace your palms and push them down towards the base of your belly. And then as you inhale, maybe looking towards the fingertips and reaching them all the way up overhead. And then exhale, pass your palms through heart center. And then push your palms towards the base of your belly and then inhale your arms all the way up. And then let's just move through this a few more times. Inhaling, hands all the way up. Why don't we take one more? Exhale the palms through heart center. Inhale the hands all the way up. And then with our palms interlaced, let's reach them over towards the right. And then come all the way back up through center and then stretch over towards the left. Let's do one more side of each breath in, lift up. And then exhale over towards the right. And then inhale all the way back up. And then stretch the opposite way. Come all the way up, disconnect through the fingertips, reach through the fingertips, gaze up. And then just bend through the knees and forward fold. We're gonna do a couple of half sun salutations, feeling what's happening in your hamstrings today. Take a breath in, halfway lift. And then exhale, lower. And then inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. And then exhale your palms into heart center. And let's travel through two more. So take a big breath in, arms up towards the sky. And then exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lower. And then inhale, circle your palms all the way up. Hands at heart center. Let's take one more breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in, can you circle all the way up? And then breath out, hands at heart center. Step your feet together, take an inhale, reach your arms up overhead. You're kind of sitting back into a chair pose. And see if you can tuck your tailbone. You're not kind of, you are. And then see if you can see your toes. Coming out from in front of your knees and sit a little lower. You might feel a little bit of a quiver and a little bit of a shake and a little bit of discomfort, and kind of sit in the discomfort and be okay with it and hold here for 3, for 2, and then 1, inhale. And then as you exhale, forward fold. Take your inhale, halfway lift. And then take your exhale lower, plant the palms, step your feet back, come all the way into a plank, push the ground away. Feel your navel drawing in. Find a little bit of a shake here. And just hold for 3, for 2. And then on 1, can you land the knee? And then slowly lower all the way down, elbows drawn back. Take an inhale, maybe your fingertips come off the mat a little bit, lift your heart up. And then take an exhale, lower. And then can you press through the palms, shift up through a table, and all the way back to your down dog. And then just bend through the knees and kind of press out through the heels, walking out your dog. Give your head a rock no to no more tension. And then give it a little wiggle yes. And then bend through the knees, gaze forward, step your feet up to meet your hands. Take an inhale to halfway lift. Take an exhale, fold, bend through the knees, sit back. We're gonna find another chair, and this time we're gonna integrate a tiny bit of a twist, okay? So keeping your arms lifted overhead, breath in. And then exhale your palms into your heart center. Take a breath in, lift at the elbows. And then twist your right elbow onto your left knee. Gazing over the left shoulder, holding here for 3, for 2, and then 1. Can you come all the way back through center? And then twist the opposite way, so left elbow, right knee. Holding here for 3, for 2, and then 1. Inhale all the way back through center. And then when you exhale, forward fold. Take your breath in, half lift. Take your exhale lower, plant the palms, step your feet back. Move through a vinyasa. Come all the way up to your down dog. And then let's play around with our legs. So keep your left toes where they are. Take your right leg up towards the sky. And then bend through the right knee and take some circles. And then lengthen all the way out through your right leg. And we're gonna draw the right knee in and then just step the right foot between your palms. And then can you rock into the hip crease back and forth and just feel what's happening there. And then let's leave the left arm where it is. So plant through your left palm and reach your right arm up towards the sky, circling up. Now we're gonna step all the way back into a side plank, okay? So root through your left palm, roll onto the outer edge of the left foot, step your right foot all the way back. Staying here for 3, for 2, and then on 1, land your right palm, move through a vinyasa. Nice, and then come all the way back up to a down dog. And then in the opposite side, we're gonna lift the left leg up and then take some circles with the knee, getting into the hips. Lengthen out through the left leg. Can you draw the left knee in and then step the left foot between the palms and then take your rocks on this side. And then get firm through your right palm as you reach the left palm up towards the sky. And then once again, we'll be strong through the right palm, roll onto the outer edge of the right foot, step your left foot back, find yourself in a side plank, hold here for 3, for 2. And then 1, land your left palm. Can you vinyasa? And then come all the way back up to a down dog. And then we'll do the exact same thing we did before, bending through the knees, gazing forward, stepping the feet up to meet the hands. Take an inhale to halfway lift. Take an exhale, fold. And then bend through the knees, sit back. Find your way into a chair. Once again, taking your palms into heart center, and we'll twist. So inhale, lift. And then exhale, twist right elbow to the left knee, gaze over the left shoulder. Stay here for 3, for 2. And then for 1, come all the way back through center. And then twist the opposite way, left elbow, right knee. 2, 1, come all the way back, breath in. And then breath out, forward fold. Breath in, halfway lift. Breath out, lower, plant the palms, step back. Vinyasa. Okay, so we're gonna move through a standing mandala flow today before we get into our yin. So take your right leg up towards the sky, 3-legged dog. Now either keep the right leg extended or bend through the right knee, stack the hips. And then maybe you come all the way forward, flipping your dog, landing your right toes, lengthening the right arm up behind you. Come all the way back through center, take the right knee into the chest. And then step your right foot between your palms, take your right fingertips to the inside of your right foot, land onto your left heel, and then reach the left arm all the way up towards the sky. And now we're gonna come all the way up, and then wrap the left arm around the body and reach your right arm up behind you. Staying here for 3 breaths. Come all the way back and unwind, then lengthen through your right leg. Walk your left foot in a tiny bit. You're gonna hinge forward. Take your right arm alongside your right leg, reach your left arm up towards the sky. You're staying in a triangle. I'm just gonna turn my air conditioning on. Air conditioning on because it's like 45 degrees in Abu Dhabi. And I can't wear shorts. If you want to shift weight onto your right foot and right fingertips and come into your Ardha Chandrasana, your half moon, go ahead. You're balancing, pressing into your right big toe, lifting all the way up and knowing that if you fall, it's okay. I had a lot of coffee today, so I'm feeling kind of wobbly. And just kind of notice and be aware of how these choices, like what you consume, impact your practice. And then bend through your right knee and then step your left foot all the way back. Lengthen through the right leg, turn your right toes to face the side wall. Interlace your palms, take a breath in with that connection, and then hinge all the way forward. This is called a wood chopper. Then press through the feet, come all the way up to stand. Turn your left toes to face the back of the mat, bend through the left knee. You're gonna step your right foot in so it's on this 45-degree angle. You're facing the back of the mat, and then inhale your arms up. And then can you lengthen through your left leg? Reach forward. And then dangle your arms alongside, framing your left foot. So you're getting into a deep hamstring stretch, and maybe you stay here. Maybe you keep your right fingertips where they are and you spiral your left arm up towards the sky. And then maybe you shift weight onto your right foot and your left fingertips. This is your revolved half moon. Just stay with it for a few breaths. And then come all the way up, take your right knee into your chest. step your right foot in front of your left, crossing the ankle. Take a big breath in. We're gonna reach the arms up. And then when you exhale, can you come forward? Just letting your fingertips land on the earth. Few deep rounds of breath, stretching through the left calf. Feel a little bit of an IT band stretch. And then we're gonna roll all the way up. Lift onto the tippy toes. Do your little quarter swivel, hands at heart center. Holding here, 5, balancing 4, 3, 2, and then 1, land your heels. Step your left foot all the way wide, turning your left toes to face the front of the mat and bend your left knee. So we've kind of come around this journey and we're all the way back now, and you're gonna inhale, reverse your warrior. And then you're gonna exhale, come all the way up and windmill your palms to the foot, framing the foot. Yeah, nice, you made it. Now get strong through your right palm, spiral your left arm up towards the sky. Take a big inhale, roll onto the outer edge of the right foot, step your left foot all the way back, holding your side plank for 3, for 2, and then on 1, land your left palm. Nice, we're gonna move through a vinyasa. We're almost done our vinyasa portion of the class, don't worry. Why don't we take a moment between sides to land onto the knees, and then sit the hips back on the heels, and rest the forehead. I think there is typically a point of time in the yoga practice when you start to transition from kind of your thoughts being in the past or in the future and your thoughts kind of arriving in the now. Maybe checking in with yourself and seeing if that has happened. And then when you're ready, preparing for the opposite side. So spreading through the palms, lifting through the elbows, peeling all the way up into your table, and then all the way back into a down dog. And then we're gonna move through a flow on the opposite side. So taking your left leg up towards the sky, and then bending your left knee, stacking the hips. And then flipping the dog, landing the left toes, landing onto the outer edge of the right foot, lifting your heart, holding here for 3, for 2. And then 1, come all the way forward, left knee into the chest. And then step your left foot between your palms, land your left fingertips, land your right heel, lift all the way up. And then come all the way up into your reverse warrior, hooking your right hand, lifting your left arm behind you. Come all the way back to upright and then lengthen through your left leg, walking your right foot in. Can you hinge forward? And then take your left arm alongside your left leg and reach your right arm up towards the sky. And then maybe shifting weight onto your left foot and left fingertips. This is your half moon, finding your balance here. Nice. And then step your right foot all the way back, turn all 10 toes to the side while interlacing the palms, and then slowly hinging forward. And then slowly come all the way up to stand. Turn your right toes to face the back of the mat. Step through your left heel and then reach your arms up towards the sky and then hinge forward, letting your fingertips frame your right foot. Land your left fingertips, reach your right arm up towards the sky, and then maybe shifting weight onto your left fingertips, right foot, lifting all the way into your revolved half moon. And then can you come all the way up and interlace your palms on top of the left shin and just stay here for 3, for 2. And then 1, cross your left ankle in front of your right, and then inhale your arms up towards the sky. And then exhale, forward fold. Let's slowly roll all the way up, lift onto the tippy toes, do your little swivel, balancing hands at heart center, and just feel if you're a little wobbly, if you're like me and drank too much coffee, can you kind of check in with what's happening? And then land both heels on the mat and take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. And then step your right foot to the front of the mat again. Turn through the right toes, bend through the right knee. You got it, warrior 2. Take a big inhale, reverse your warrior. And then take an exhale, windmill palms to the mat, frame the foot. Land through your left palm, reach your right arm all the way up towards the sky. And then rotate back into your side plank. Hold here for 3, for 2. And then 1, land your right palm, taking a vinyasa. Nice, you made it. Back up to your down dog. And then land your knees onto the mat. We're just gonna take 1 back bending series before we come into our yin, okay? So we're gonna move through the dancing camel series. So you're gonna take your right fingertips on the mat and then push your hips up and take a big breath in. And then exhale, lower, and then play with landing your left fingertips and lifting all the way up. And then let's just start rotating like this. Taking a few more rounds of breath. Taking 1 more. And then can you come all the way back through center and untuck your toes and just land your hands on your thighs and take a few breaths in. Just letting your spine realign. And take 1 more breath in. And then we're gonna come all the way forward and just land the arms alongside the body today and drop into our first yin pose, which is gonna be child's pose. So moving through this practice, reflecting a lot on different reactions I had throughout the day. And it's just occurred to me, something I've said to people a lot. I remember when I moved to Kuwait and I complained about women's rights issues there. People said to me, well, you can't really complain if you've chosen to move to a certain part of the world. And I remember saying at the time that, you know, feminist issues are feminist issues all over the world, and they just look different in different regions. Right? There's problems in the States, there's problems in Canada, there's problems everywhere, and they just manifest in different places. And my reaction to saying, you know, maybe I'll move away from Abu Dhabi. I mean, it's true that I want to live somewhere where I can advocate for social justice issues. That's something I want, but I also need to be aware that issues here are not different than anywhere else. They're just different here than they are in other places. I think sometimes there's this grass is greener mentality, right? Like, if I move back to Canada, then I can wear what I want when I want. But in reality, I've felt and I've dealt with bigger issues in Canada being a woman than I have here, different issues, right? And I think sometimes as human beings, we think that things would be better if we were somewhere else or if our scenario was different. But we ourselves will be the same person wherever we go, whether we're here, whether we're there. And so the goal is to try and find contentment in the place you are now. But at the same time, trying to also always continue to be questioning and wondering how we can make things better. I'm not sure if that made sense, but I think there's a whole lot of, you know, yoga talk of, you know, just being happy, and I think you have to have a good mix of, you know, finding contentment in the now and also trying to create like being active in the creation of a good life for everyone. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm speaking in the context of what's happening right now in the world all over the, you know, the racial justice movements and everything that's rising up in 2020. I guess I would just love to be in a part of the world where I could be part of that. I guess that's what I mean. And that being said, there's a lot of amazing things in Abu Dhabi that I 100% have to be grateful for. We're going to take a few more rounds of breath in this child's pose. And then slowly take your hands all the way out in front of you. And then move with the breath up to your table. And then move all the way up to a down dog. And we're gonna come into our second yin pose, which is gonna be a forward fold. So bending at the knees, maybe gripping opposite elbows. Relaxing through your head and softening through your back body. So we're gonna be in this forward fold for a few rounds of breath, few full minutes. And if you wanna support yourself in any way, like with elbows on a piece of furniture, feel free to go for it because we will be dangling for a while. So one of the tenets of yoga, or one of the basic fundamental parts of the practice, one of the yamas, it's ahimsa. Right? And ahimsa means non-violence towards the self and non-violence towards others. And I've been thinking about this quote I came across on Instagram this morning. And I wish I was able to read it, or I had written it down, but it was something along the lines of, it was one of those inspirational quotes that says the only thing that holds you back is like your judgments or your doubts or your thoughts or whatever. And then Diane Bondi, who's a pretty famous Black yoga teacher in America, she took the quote and she edited it, and she added in these things like the only thing holding you back are unequal access to healthcare and discrimination and injustice. And this whole concept, it's called spiritual bypassing. And I think it's when we in the yoga world try to avoid difficult things or try to avoid challenging things by bypassing it with spirituality. Like avoidance of racism, for example, by bypassing it, by saying even things I'm guilty of saying, like life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Like, yeah, that's true, but we have unequal circumstances. That's undeniable. And I read a quote that if your yoga teacher or your healer isn't actively anti-racist, then their healing work won't be healing, because it's not rooted in that core value of ahimsa. Right? Loving kindness towards all beings on the planet. So I think these concepts and these ideas have been kind of swirling around within me for the past little while, as I constantly think about how I can be more inclusive and more just as a person. maybe thinking about a little bit about how the practice of ahimsa is not simply wishing just loving kindness, right? And how can I, as a student of yoga, kind of embody these things? Not just on the mat, but off of it. Maybe that is me having more cultural respect and wearing pants. But maybe it is constantly wondering, how can I make this a better place for not just me, but for other women who are held back, for other races who are held back here. I don't know. There's many ways to practice ahimsa, just as there's many ways to practice warrior 1 or warrior 2. Right? And it's not up for us to decide what that expression means for us in our lives. We're going to stay in our forward fold for maybe just 5 more breaths. And then you're going to release that grip of your opposite elbows. And can you gently and slowly, slowly, slowly roll up to stand, stacking vertebrae upon vertebrae, until the last thing that lifts is your head, balancing on both your shoulders, and then take a breath in, and then just sigh your shoulders down your back. And lay your palms flat and open, and take a moment to feel clarity and contrast. Right, you see the difference of being dangling forward. And then you feel the difference of being standing straight up. How does that feel in your body? Oh, we held that for a long time. That was not meant to be our last yin pose. But I just looked over and it's almost time for us to finish up. So let's take a breath in, reach our palms up towards the sky. We're going to travel back down towards the mat. And then take an exhale, forward fold. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Take an exhale, lower, plant the palms, step all the way back into a down dog. And then let's just land the knees onto the mat. And we're going to slowly sit the hips back And then roll onto one side, taking the feet forward. Come all the way down onto the mat and open the arms. Drop the knees over to the right and gaze over to the left. So Rolf Gates, my teacher, he led a meditation. Might have been a week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember now. I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was on the celebration of Juneteenth. And he talked about how what was most disturbing when slavery was abolished in the States, it was that the law was no longer holding these people back, but it was their neighbors holding them back. Right? It was their neighbors who didn't want them to have the same rights, same ability to go to school, the same ability to ride the bus beside them, the same ability to drink out of the water fountain, right? The law wasn't holding these people back, but their neighbors were. Let's open our right arm and then come all the way back through center. And then drop your knees over to the left and land your left palm and gaze over the right shoulder. And so Rolf was saying that, you know, it is our duty to be good neighbors, right? We're all neighbors. We can be good neighbors or we can be bad neighbors. Something I've thought about often since that is my time in Kuwait. And I lived in a neighborhood amongst people who were living, you know, 10, 15 men in one apartment, working on construction sites, living in bunk beds, hanging out the window trying to get cell service, washing their laundry by hand, hanging it on the roof. And I think about my 2 years there, and I just kind of, these were just my neighbors. Come all the way back through center and take your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug. Right, so I know that the way they were living wasn't equal to me. And I knew that it wasn't fair. And it's kind of like what Rolf was saying. You can either be a good neighbor or you can do nothing and say nothing. And is that really practicing ahimsa if you're not challenging the status quo, if you're just living in it? Spiritual bypassing is when we just kind of douse all of this stuff in kind of yoga fairy dust. But what does embodying ahimsa really mean? Stay here for one more round of breath. And then slowly, slowly start to stretch out the left leg and then the right leg. Just dropping your toes towards the side. Letting your shoulders be heavy. Resting your palms on your belly. Maybe as you rest in your stillness, just wondering, how can I be a good neighbor? And how can I carry my yoga practice into my life? It's turned into a yoga class that was about politics. I apologize for that. It was not my intention, but sometimes that's where the story takes you. Resting, breathing, knowing that I will bring you back when the time is up. Ishkavamapulela, 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 Ishkavamapulela. Give your fingers and your toes a little wake up wiggle. Our short and sweet Shavasana. Run a nice long stretch, fingertips all the way through toes, taking a nice big stretch. Come all the way with knees into chest. Give yourself a nice little hug. And then slowly make your way up to our seated shape. Hands at heart center, lengthening up through the spine. And we close with this intention. It's an ancient intention, but it's the original intention. It was passed from my teacher, Rolf, to me. I pass it to you. And it's that our yoga practice remain steady. And that our efforts remain continuous. And that our yoga practice serves and benefits not only ourselves, but all of the people around us and all the people around them, and so on and so forth. May all beings be safe and be happy and be healthy and be free. And may the thoughts and actions of each of our lives contribute towards this. We'll finish with an Om, inhaling and exhaling, and inhaling through to make an Om. So a big breath in. And a big breath out. And a big breath in. Om. so much for sharing the space and the practice. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace. Namaste. Thank you guys for joining.
The Mindful Life Practice Community.